Hey, what's up, Couch Potatoes? We are back to talk the season 2 finale of House of the Dragon, titled The Queen Who Ever Was. You said you had an alternate title for this. What would you have named if you were naming this show?
I thought I was naming this specific episode Traitor. Traitor, but I saw a couple different alternate titles.
Well, I know you saw an episode from last year. You thought it was called Lord of the Tides. What were some of the other ones you saw?
Family Matters, which I thought fit. And
like
Queen's Gambit.
Queen's
and
Gambit's
I thought
good.
that was rather clever, but apparently not quite it.
Well, I mean, this episode is, I'm going to be straight up with you guys. I feel like I'm the only one who liked this episode. It seems like, I know social media, Twitter is not a snapshot of real life. I get that. But like today, I was just like, I thought the episode was fine. Everyone's just talking about how it's like the worst. And I don't know. Here, we'll talk about it as it goes along. I was looking at, again, I was talking about the IMDb rating. Because I feel like it's more fair than Rotten Tomatoes is. And like this is the lowest rated finale of any Game of Thrones show except for the season 8 finale of Game of Thrones. I'm like, wow, okay. And I don't know if it's just because the blue balls, people feel like they kind of got blue balls with this episode. Yes. I feel like this is the kind of same that people were complaining about Shogun because they didn't get that big battle at the end of Shogun. So again, I don't know if that's what it is. Again, I will admit I might be too close to source material here. So you being the not reader of this, did you have I know you did say you felt a little bored in this episode a few times.
Unsatisfied. There was unnecessary, like that whole Tylan.
I will say the Tylan stuff was my least favorite. I like the
Tynini.
The best part about it is when she called him Tywin. That was funny. But other than that, I felt like that whole thing could have been handled in 10 seconds and I'd been fine. Like you understand that he's got to treat with the triarchy, and try to get that alliance going. But
that seemed like next season info, and it just left me massively unsatisfied
what's her name?
This season.
Sharko Lohar or something?
Yes, Lohar. Admiral Lohar.
I understand they're setting up the Battle of the Gullet, which I keep talking about, which I'll be honest, I thought we would, not last week I didn't, but in the middle of the season, after Rook's Rest, I said, I bet the season ends with the Battle of the Gullet. That makes the most sense for the place for it to end. But then last week I said, they never have exciting episodes the last episode. It's always the episode before the last one. So I was prepared for that. But the way this episode ended, a lot of people were upset that it feels like, okay, great, we've done this build up for this big battle, and then we've got to wait 2 years to see it.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like, if you still thought that this was going to be 10 episodes, you would be like, okay, great, I can't wait for next week's episode.
Right.
And then you realize it's 8.
It was too slow of a build up, too much superfluous stuff, and I did get some resolutions on some points I've been waiting for all season.
Yeah. I mostly like the episode. It's just the people are saying that like this episode did nothing to progress the story forward. And I'm like, did you watch the show like at all? But I don't know.
So yeah, that's something we can get to at the end when we cover some of this stuff.
We can't skip the. Would my lord like to see the tapestries?
Yeah. Never skip the tapestry.
So there is a couple of new additions. They've added Rook's Rest on there. So I thought that was cool. They kind of updated that, and they've added Rhaenyra's multitude of dragons up to this part. Yeah, so that's really cool. I mean, I have to get a closer look at it, but we did notice it while it was happening. So there's going to be some point where I'm like, man, that they're going to have to extend that opening or something, I think, because the tapestry's going to be too long or it's going to be so fast, you're not going to know what's going on.
I would say they could probably move a bit quicker through the old Valyrian stuff as...
Yeah, like they don't need to show Maegor the Cruel being dead on the throne and stuff like that, I don't think. But it's still a neat idea. I like the tapestry much better than the bloodlines.
And they could also do... I mean, I don't know how this is... But they could do a zoom out and capture some of the smaller moments in one pan. So you get all of the old Valyria stuff in one pan instead of focusing on individual scenes.
So it's neat that they're updating it mid-season, not just each new season. No, that's really cool.
That's lovely and just a detailed touch that you come to expect from a Song
what's the opposite of cool? The opposit of cool will be Aemond going and just burning the shit out of Sharp Point just because.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's mad. He's got to go take it out on somebody. I mean, the thing with, again, dealing with this as like a history book, it's never really declared one way or the other who like the bad guys are and who the shows went all in on making Aemond just straight up. They feel like they need their Ramsay Bolton, I feel like, or their Joffrey. He
fulfills the role, yeah.
So I feel like they've had to kind of lean into that a little bit. Like at first I thought they were going to make it Daemon. Now it seems like they made it Aemond. But
and they made it kind of a justifiable vengeance with the losing of the eye. Like he's still more gray than I think black, but
I don't know. You think that when he went in there and tried to strong arm a hoe, or tried to strong arm a sister in Helaena? That was a rap reference. Sorry, showing my suburbs there. So he tries to force Helaena to ride her dragon because he's desperate at this point. He's like, This is the first time he hasn't been in control. You know, he's
Right.
had Vhagar, he's got the biggest nuke out of all of them, and now it's like, okay, well, I'm outnumbered like 7-1 now, so I need to go to my biggest gun or my only gun, which is
only
my
gun.
sister.
Which also, this episode, I did get as much confirmation as I think I'm going to get that Sunfire's dead. Aegon's like, my dragon is dead. Now maybe it's recouping and Aegon doesn't know, but you know,
I can
nobody
neither confirm
know.
nor deny these days. I plead the fifth.
Nobody, no death. But this is the most confirmation or any reference to Sunfire being.
Well, I do
out of
find it
commission.
interesting that, you know, he does try to force her or whatever, and then Allison, you know, basically like gets up his face and it's like, knock the shit off. I'm surprised he listened because, I mean, he hasn't listened to her once before, but I think I can't fight the both of you. That was kind of the thing that I got out of it. They're like, I can't fight both of you. And
Also, I know-
you can't make someone get on a dragon and go burn somebody. You
Right,
can't.
and he knows what and who Helaena is, and where it was a desperation attempt. You don't know if you don't ask.
Yeah,
but
you think you could have
know.
handled it with more tact. That's all I'm saying. Maybe you could have, you know, really got on her good side
Tact
first.
is not, and he's not about attracting flies with honey. He
Okay,
will-
here's real simple. You
vinegar
go into
you.
her and be like, these are the people that had your son murdered. You can really get her on your side instead of grabbing by the arm being like, you got to do this.
But that's not- he's not
his
an
style.
attract with honey,
He's
yeah.
definitely not an ambassador, is he? He's
No.
diplomatic. He doesn't like to handle things in a diplomatic manner at all. I think that she does tell him her visions. Now, I've been saying she was a green seer. Now, look, this is a major change from the book, guys. Helaena isn't a dreamer like she seems to be on the show here. Almost like she's part of the, I don't know, like part of the three-eyed raven here almost with her
Right.
visions, because it seems like she can flat out see the future now. Again, it's a big change. Big change. I'm not going to get into what the book does because they might still do those. And I told her, and I felt bad after I told her that because they might still. She said, "Well, they might still do that." I'm like, "Oh shit, I shouldn't have said that." So I'm not going to tell you.
but it's not. I don't think it's a
this
spoiler that would ruin
Helena's
the character.
just even more so than usual at this point.
But
in
I
the book.
remember
Yeah.
asking you earlier on, is she crazy in the book? Like, I get she's odd, and so
don't
if
think he never
she's
really
not
specifically
interpreting
states.
these
Yeah.
things, or she's having these visions and not expressing them clearly, she could come off as crazy or odd or a bit offbeat.
I think kind of how she was in the first season, where she's like, you know, creepy bug girl. You know,
Yeah.
she collects her bug. I think that's kind of more of what she was. But again, someone who's read it more recently than me might be able to go back and verify. But from what I recall, it doesn't get really too into detail with or any abilities that she has like this. But I do know this is a major change from where she is at this point in the timeline.
And Aemond doesn't hesitate to say, well, I can just have you killed.
I love that. It's like, kill the messenger. That'll change things.
Yeah,
Yes,
and baller move when she tells him.
ain't gonna change nothing.
It's
Yeah.
not going to change. But
So, yeah,
he
she
would
goes-
then have a dragon to put a rider on.
I like that she flat out tells him, like, I know what you did to your brother, you know, don't deny it. And she basically tells him, I think Aemond feels like, okay, once this is all over, you know, then I get to live out my life as, you know, maybe king, you know, and she's just flat out ruining his dreams. But like, no, dude, you ain't making it through this. And I think he's having a hard time dealing with that. Now, here's the thing is,
Oh yeah, she tells him you'll rest at the bottom of the god's eye, or
I think that with
That's what
this
she said.
is, with prophecy in Song of Ice and
you'll
Fire,
be in the god's eye.
are they always I wouldn't say that they're always right. It's just like sometimes they can be misinterpreted. So I
Sure.
wouldn't look at because some people were being like, oh, is that a spoiler? Not necessarily. I think it's like old Obi-Wan says, from a certain point of view. What you told you was the truth from a certain point of view. So I shan't say one way or the other what this stuff was, but
Well,
it
doesn't- he
will be
doesn't-
important. It
Yeah.
will be important.
Yeah.
The God's Eye is very important. Very, very important. Hey, you know, Aegon has a burned wiener.
Sad story.
I mean, that's the detail we all need to know. Just cooked it up like a sausage. I mean, look, you would imagine the guy's pretty much burned from like the neck down that was going to happen, but you know, leave it up to the world of Ice and Fire to let you know that. But what I was kind of setting you up for last week, saying like, why do you think that Lars was trying to get him to be able to walk and stuff, so he could smuggle him out of here?
and he looked really good. I don't know, it's not clear on the show how much time has passed between episodes, but he looked, for a burn,
I think some
pretty
months have
healed.
gone past at least, but you know,
not
in the
gooey
book
anymore.
in the book it just says he was in bed for a year, is what it says. So they're clearly changing the timeline of this a little bit faster than it had, because all you know is when a certain event that's going to happen at the beginning of next season happens, you find out later that Aegon had been smuggled out of town by Larys. So
to be
there we go.
returned as the realm's delight.
The realm's
Bless
delight.
his
Yeah,
heart.
Yeah. Aegon the Merciful.
And Loras is making a long-term power play.
Yeah, I don't think this is Loras just doing the best for his king.
Yeah.
No, he's always looking out for number one.
Yeah.
Definitely, he has an angle here. But I do like they showed Loras was very, very cunning. Like he moved all the family finances out of Harrenhal. Obviously, you don't want to leave them there, especially since everyone and their mother wants Harrenhal so bad.
For what?
I wouldn't bury my treasure there. Like I said, I think it's just a strategic. It's a point, of strategy.
Have at it.
I don't really have a ton to say about it. So let's talk about Rhaena. She does find Sheep Stealer, and you don't know how that's going to go one way or the other. I think without a doubt, it's confirmed now that she is replacing Nettles in the story. But I did read today that Ryan Condal, the showrunner, did say that they're not saying there's not going to be a cameo of Nettles down the line, maybe, or something. I don't think he used the word cameo. He's just saying we're not saying we won't see that character.
Right.
So who knows? Who knows? They might do something different. But I think for me, it kind of makes a lot of sense. Whereas most book fans don't like changes. This is one I'm like I can live with it. I feel like this is going to be a better storyline. It kind of gets one less character to confuse your non-readers. And I think that it gives Rhaena a better storyline, I think, than she actually has in the
No, she doesn't. Yeah, like if she wasn't going after this dragon, she doesn't have much of a storyline. If we just want to watch her nanny these two young half-brothers of hers, then I don't need her to have screen time.
Sheep still didn't look too happy to see her, though.
No,
it did not. She looked a little flipped out, and I think that's
she should be.
That's the way you should be when you find a wild dragon.
Her previous experiences should leave her to feel that way, especially since she was introduced to a young dragon with trainers and pokey sticks.
Was it Shark Sea Smoke that they tried to get her to after Rhaenor took off? I don't remember. But they did something with her, didn't they?
Sea Smoke. Maybe Vermithor.
I don't remember. They did something with her earlier. I can't even remember. I don't know. She's just like the
Vhagar.
ugly duckling of the family.
Because Aemond stole her.
And I don't mean that of her appearance. I mean like the way she's treated. That she's just just kind of like, hey, we don't know what to do with you. You can just go be a babysitter. So Ulf, he's kind of a douchebag.
Oh wow, kind of. Okay.
I mean, I heard some people say, they kind of thought that Ulf was going to kind of be this like reluctant hero type, and I think that you see right away this dude's like, oh yeah, I'll go fight Vhagar right now. Okay, buddy.
He
bless your heart.
Definitely blows his own smoke, and you saw that when he was with the small folk in the Red Keep.
Ulf is like the representation of how people always seem to fail upward, and you just don't understand it because there's no reason that guy should be failing upward the way that he is. But I mean, Jace gives him peace of mind. So he's
like this in the book. He is flippant in the book.
I can't say. Just say that I feel like the setup is a little different in the book. That's my question about Ulf.
I'm like, is he acting this way in the book, or is this
again? I think that you're seeing more of the characters on the show than you do in the book. So again, knowing where the character heads isn't surprising. Let's put it that way. But I mean, the fact that he's just, we're huge hammer. We're huge hammers. Like he doesn't have any idea how life at court is, and I'm like, how do you know? Oh, you have common sense, and he doesn't. But I was just like,
and he's been contracted through the court for his blacksmithing.
When he just goes up and just like hugs Jace, I'm like, what are you doing, man? But the way he pretty much is just very flippant and disrespectful to Rhaenyra, and I'm like, dude, I know you're important, but holy shit, man.
Or maybe not that important, since we can just drum up some other half-breeds.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah. Hey, as soon as the war is over,
not even then.
I think
we'll
so.
Just find someone else.
Yeah, so he's a character, that's for sure.
Someone else that you might not have a lot to say, and I want to bring in is just, I still love Baela. Baela for the win. She had a great quote talking to Jay. She says, "You diminish yourself. It's not you're not being diminished because these people are writers, or you're not diminished because of your dark hair and your questionable lineage. You diminish it because you diminish yourself."
I think they're cutting out something with these two, and I'll go into it, in 2 years when season 3 comes back, if that's the case. But there is something that I feel like with Jace's character, because I kept saying I don't know how they're going to do the Battle of the Gullet, because there's so many things they haven't set up with several characters, and one of them is Jace so far. And I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know if they're going to cut out. So I'll touch on that, when we reconvene in 2 years.
All right, I'll just put a note over here.
Yeah, keep this in handy. So Corlys, he renames his ship, the Queen Who Never Was. I thought that was very sweet, right? Yeah. Very, very sweet. Saying that everything I always did there was very
sweet,
self-serving or whatever. Now everything that I'm going to do is going to be for her. And I thought that was cool.
But nice if she was there, but cool.
Yeah. Well, it's not his fault. He didn't tell her to go. In fact, he didn't want her to go.
That he waited too late is his fault.
Well, a lot of things like that, you know. A lot
Take
of times
advantage
when
of it now.
you don't know what you have until it's gone. I think that's a tale as old as time, as is not understanding why the son you've never paid attention to wants nothing to do with you.
Oh, that.
It's such a contrast where Adam
So
seems like,
powerful.
okay, I will happily accept being in my true father's good graces. You know, no questions asked. Not no questions asked, but he's more accepting to it. Whereas Alan's like, man, I don't want shit from you. I'm going to do my duty, you know, but I had to grow up on my own, watching you walk past me with your pampered ass real kid all his life while I'm starving all the time.
And
That was
now
one of those
that
where it's
you
just like,
need me,
I love Corliss.
the one thing I don't need
I
is
love
you.
Corliss as a character, so it hurt as a dad seeing him get attacked like this. But I'm like, you tell him, man. You
No,
tell him.
it was so well delivered.
Yeah.
The actor did such a just.
Oh, you could tell it was just
beautiful
like
job,
just
yeah.
freaking decades of rage pent up, and he finally is able to get it all out. So it's a touching scene, very very well acted. Like, of course, it's just basically like, you are dismissed. He just keeps on ripping. I'm like, nah, you ain't sea snaking your way out of this one. You know?
And now that we're in House Black, Jace is not happy about the Dragon Riders in the book as well, right? Like, he's not accepting of these new Dragon Riders, even though he kind of told his mom to do this.
Again, you don't get the narrative like that.
Okay.
It's just this happened. You know, you don't get this.
I mean, it makes sense that he would feel that way, but yeah, he definitely feels the need to assert himself.
I know he doesn't like being always sidelined by his
Yeah.
mom, who's trying to protect him.
Yeah.
And, you know, as you see this, she's going to go to Harrenhal here because she's thinking that she's got to finally go confront Daemon and find out whose side you on. And he basically says, way I looked at it, Ulf, you ain't coming with me because you're an asshole. Vermithor,
who
you're my
wants to
biggest.
listen to that?
You're my biggest gun. So Hugh needs to stay at Dragonstone. So I'll take Adam. He seems to be the one that's been the most subservient so far to take backup with her on this trip. But you can tell Jace is upset that he didn't get asked.
Do you think Rhaenyra knows that Adam is Laenor's half brother?
I mean, it would be hard to look at him and not figure it
I would
out.
say you looked at Laenor for a long time. You're very familiar with Corliss's face. They look related.
Yeah, they look a lot alike. So I think she might have got, like I said,
She may not have it confirmed,
in the book,
but she
one
has
of his
suspicions.
one of his requirements to become her hand is, you know, you legitimize those kids. You know, so they didn't do that on the show.
Fruition. I'm sure that'll pass later.
But I think she's not an idiot. I think she has a
Yeah.
pretty good idea there, just like how Rhaenys was no fool, and she could see exactly what was going on. So it is the time
Stronger woman
of
than me.
every episode, guys, where we get to break down the haunting at Harrenhal. Daemon's vision of this one is the big one. This was a big one, and I'm going to be honest with you. I'm mixed on this. I am very, very mixed on this. Again, we don't know that this didn't happen while he was at Harrenhal, so I understand all this storyline they've given him this year has been kind of made up in the writer's room here. But this vision, if you have watched or read the series proper, Song of Ice and Fire, you probably know what all these visions are. Obviously, we see the three-eyed raven. I don't know if we see Brendan Rivers, and someone was bringing up, well, he's not been born yet. Well, he's seeing the future.
I mean, a lot of the things he's seeing hasn't been done yet.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, I'm not worried that character is not alive yet. You know, that isn't exactly just how the weirwood trees work here, but we do get to see the three-eyed raven. So I don't know necessarily that Alice is a three-eyed raven or how that works. Maybe it passes on
Alice
to somebody.
Rivers to Brendan Rivers?
Maybe. You know, I don't know. We're getting more answers about Alice in this than I ever expected, really, but yet have so many questions. But we see the comet, which you see at the beginning of A Clash of Kings. You see the White Walkers. You see the Death of the Dragons. I mean, all this stuff, I feel like if you've read or watched the original show, you know what all these visions really were.
Yeah, definitely clues.
But the big one is seeing Khaleesi, obviously, with the dragons. And I think this is where Daemon realizes, I'm not the main character. I'm just a cog on the wheel here, and I need to get, you know, my ass back in line because these things need to happen. These events need to happen.
I didn't think that was the takeaway from the vision. The takeaway from the vision is he goes up to the gate, the Throne of Swords, and he sees
Rhaenyra.
Rhaenyra. Yeah, that's the all right, okay.
Well, yeah, he's seeing the same thing. You know, the Prince of His Promise. Again, do we know that Daenerys was the Prince of His Promise? I mean, I think that's what the show. I know they're doing this to obviously have some continuity. That's why they're doing this. But look, I'm not going to lie. I do not like Daemon Targaryen saying winter's coming. I don't like that at all. That's just weird to me. But I understand why they're doing it. They want to have some continuity. Apparently, they're going to have Brendan Rivers on the Hedge Knight show that's coming out next year.
Yeah.
So I understand they're wanting to tie. They want this to be a connected universe, obviously, as it is, and you've got the properties. Do that shit. I get it, but this is one I'm kind of like, look, I didn't mind them putting the Prince That Was Promised thing into the show with Viserys the First. I didn't mind that, but that one was almost like, I don't know. And I do wish that if they were going to have a cameo of Daenerys, it would have actually been, the actress who plays Daenerys. But the way they did it was fine. Again, I feel like if they're going to use her, they're going to have her come back. What's her name? I can't think of her name right now. They played Daenerys.
Oh my god,
Emilia Clarke. If they're going to have Emilia Clarke come back, I feel like it would be more prominent than that. They're not just going to show her naked back for a second. I feel like they would actually use her if they're going to use her. But from what I understand, she didn't have a very good experience there towards the end. I don't think she said she wasn't even going to watch the show. So I don't know. I don't know those things. I don't keep up with all that. But I don't know. How'd you feel about this vision? Do you care that he said winter's coming? Did it bother you like it bothered me?
It seemed a little
Heavy-handed?
wink, nudge, nudge, yes. But it didn't bother me or take me out of the moment for the episode. And I'm like, wow, you interpreted that scarily accurately after being drugged to a tree covered in blood sap with a clippity-clop humanoid.
What was the thing with the antlers? Is that the goat that we've been seeing all season? Is that the goat?
Yeah, but for you to walk away with such an accurate interpretation is mind-boggling.
To me, like, it's asking about what that thing was. Like, I don't know. I just thought it was like something to do with the stag. I don't know. I don't know. Signs and portents. I have no idea. I mean, there's been plenty of prophecies and visions in the books that I have no idea what they mean.
I thought it was an allusion to warging. I don't know.
It was weird. But hey, in the end, he does bend the knee to Rhaenyra. And I like that she's like basically like, don't leave me again. He's like, man, I've already tried. It ain't going to happen again. So that's cool. You need that unity, I think. And we see now, dude, she has every single advantage now. She's talking about going and burning Old Town and places and just like basically just to take control, And so that's why this is a change that's, again, what I said last time Alicent and Rhaenyra met. Well, this is a change from the book. We don't know that it didn't happen. I didn't think they'd be doing it again. I didn't think they'd be doing it again.
No, and big props to Simon Strong for his loyalty and fidelity, and wonder what's going to happen to Sir Alfred now that Daemon has, because traitor going to trade.
I don't think it'll even come up. I don't know. Daemon seems to be like he's going to stand on business type, and I think he'll kind of be like, hey, that was cool that he had some loyalty to me. I don't think he's just going to be like, look, I was thinking of doing my own thing. What am I going to get out of this guy for?
Okay, and I honestly think, and I know somebody else was saying, oh, the vision is what prompted him to go ahead and turn, but I felt like last episode where he had the vision of Viserys and talking about how the burdens of the crown are, and then having to actually follow through on the burdens of the crown to behead the guy who was only doing what he asked him to do. And he was like, you know what? Not as fun as going out and doing whatever the heck I want to and not having to follow through.
He's had quite the journey, but I am glad you're seeing that. I know that people feel like you've got to have someone to root for on this show, and I've said you'll switch from Team Green to Black and back and forth a few times. I'm glad that they're not trying to paint Rhaenyra as like some virtuous paragon of truth or something. She's willing to go out there and, well, let's just say, a collateral damage a little bit. I'm going to, we'll only kill like a few thousand people to save millions, kind of justifying it the needs of the many, right? Yeah. But I see that she's willing to do here whatever needs to be done. And Hugh Hammer's like, what the fuck? Ulf's like, yeah, whatever. But it's just...
you have this advantage for now.
Well, what I said, why do all that?
Now.
Just go to King's Landing. And that's what Alicent offers here. She offers, hey, it'll save a lot of lives. You come and I'll leave the gates open and tell them to lay down their arms, and you can come and take the throne. And nobody has to die. She's like, somebody does have to die. Your kid has to die.
Oh, so much on that. So much on that. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't even know if I trust Alicent. Is it just bait? Is she just baiting her? And yeah, you actually told me the last time we met that you have no power in this. So how do you have the power to even negotiate or guarantee this?
I think the guilt's been eating her alive.
Oh, no, I think genuinely that's what she wants to have happen, but I don't think she has this way to pull it off.
Try and look at this like a parent. She's looking at it like, okay, if this is what has to happen for peace, okay, what kind of life is Aegon going to live anyway? He's going to be miserable the rest of his life. I think that's maybe the way that she's looking at it, or she just wants this to be over so bad.
I think she wants it to
and
be
she knows that Aemond is a monster.
Yeah, and she's not,
So it's a rough decision, but yeah, that's a nice theory. I like the way you are thinking. Very Song of Ice and Firely. I like that. I like that a lot. We do get to see Tessarion and I guess Daeron is flying.
Oh, beautiful
Tessarion
blue
there
dragon.
on the fly. So you just see everybody getting ready for war. And it's just, I think it's what upset everybody. You're seeing everybody getting ready for war. This is just like the finale of Shogun. You're seeing everyone getting ready for war, and then
But I didn't feel like Shogun was a battle story. It was a stranger in a strange land story.
That's what I tell everybody. That's not what Shogun's about.
This is a battle story. You clearly have two sides showing down.
Well, I mean, I do think that what I say, I don't read Song of Ice and Fire for the action. It's always about the political maneuvering, the backstabbing, the character moments, and it's done those really well. I understand why people are upset. I do understand.
What did I say about this episode? There was so much and too little. Like, right, so all this time with Tylan in the Stepstones, but Aegon just gets carted off real quick, and there's not a whole lot of talk about that. I'm like,
well, I mean,
okay.
There's going to be a lot of people being like, F this show, I'm not watching anymore. And you know what? You're going to watch the season 3 premiere, and you're going to be like, holy shit, I'm back in, because it's going to be huge. It's going to be huge. Because I think they're going to do Battle of the Gullet. I'm thinking maybe there's another battle that happens very close to it. Again, I can't mention the name, because it's a spoiler to mention what the name of what this event is. But I'm thinking they might either try to do them at the same time, or they might actually be flipping them. They might actually be flipping them, and I'm trying to think about how that would work. But it's just
if it's a land or air battle, I'm assuming Battle of the Gullet is a water-sea battle. That sounds like a sea battle.
Well, the Triarchy's headed that way.
Yes, and Corlys is on his ships.
Yeah.
Also, somewhere where I feel like we got too little of that information while we spent a long time on other things. But
you weren't down with mud wrestling?
It was interesting, unexpected.
Or Tylan singing?
But if you're doing that water battle, you could mirror that with a land or sea battle if they happen concurrently, if that's how the show's going to do it.
All right, well, look, I feel like I'm the only one who loved this season. I think it could have matched the highs of season 1? Probably not. I just think that season 1 you had an amazing, just a clinic of acting by the actor Patty Constantine, who played Viserys.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was great. The time jumps confused a lot of people, but I loved it. It was just cool seeing all these historic moments, that I've read about for years. For me, I don't think that this was very much the setting up the chessboard pieces, because they've said today, they announced today that it is going to end after season 4, which they've been renewed for. And I wish that they would film them back to back, so we don't have to wait till 2028 for this show to be over. But at least now they do have a beginning, middle, end. And a lot of big complaints was they only did about 30 pages of content this whole season. So people are worried now. Okay, well, now are they going to have to rush the rest of it? I don't think so. I think that they can do this and do it well. I still have very much faith. I know how much they love the source material, so they're not going to screw it up.
One of the chess pieces you glossed over, though, was our knight out with Gwaine. And I thought he had... I know people hate him. I don't get the I don't love him, but I don't get the hate. But I thought he had some great quotes out there talking about all men are... a wash or dust under the dance of dragons.
He realizes that, he thought he was this big badass, and then once the dragon showed, he realized, man, we're insignificant. We're specks of dust. Yeah.
I mean, and he delivered such a powerful, sweet speech. Gwaine was like, I don't even want to kill you anymore. I just feel bad
I gotta
for
sit
you.
down here and talk now.
I gotta go get therapy.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's what I always say about the books as well. Is like, if you think you hate a character, wait. George will probably redeem them somehow, and then he'll flip them back again. She's just really good at that. So I feel like the show's doing a good job as well.
And then you talk about Helaena, her god's eye, being a premonition, but she also puts her other brother on a wooden throne. And I was trying to think, where's a wooden throne at? And the only one I can think about is Driftmark, and I don't see that.
That's why I said Driftmark's the only wooden throne I could think of. So I'm not sure what that means.
Is a wooden throne? Is that maybe a coffin? But they don't do coffins. They have the dragon burn him down, and his dragon's dead. I don't know.
Don't have an answer for that one.
Okay, no, that's not something you got from your... Okay.
I mean, when it happens, I might be like, oh... Duh, but for right now, I don't think it's happened yet. Someone said it might have been the wagon he was escaping. Hey, we didn't talk about auto zones in prison.
Oh, yeah, I got him up here on the side. Auto zone. Yeah.
So who do you think's holding him prisoner?
No idea. I mean, it is not a short travel between the Red Keep and Hightower, so he could have been snapped up by several people.
I like the theory that Larys is the one who did it because Aemond wanted him to be the hand, and he's just trying to intercept that.
But he's not even there to be the hand. I don't know.
Well, lots to talk about next season, but you guys, thank you for joining us with this. We're going to be doing more than just House of Dragon going forward. It's going to be very exciting, but let us know what you guys thought about this episode, this season down below, and we will talk to you there.